Alright guys, I'm the NFL Addict, and today I will be making my NFL recommendations for the 2021 New York Giants. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe. I am doing recommendations for every single team doing the playoffs, and then redoing them to get them updated in time for the regular season. And if you like NFL content, if you like these type of videos, I post these all year round. So if you like NFL content on YouTube, this is the channel for you. Now, let's go ahead and get started talking about the purpose of this whole video, which is the New York Giants. And the biggest part about this whole Giants team is their defense. They have a really solid and really underrated defense. I think it's top 10, and that is because they've got Leonard Williams and they got Leonard. Well, it's just Leonard Williams. Their defensive line is probably their most iffy part of their defense, but it still is pretty good. I mean, they also have Dexter Lawrence on there, and also it's mainly that secondary though. James Bradbury, Jabril Peppers, Adoree Jackson, and even their linebacker unit with Blake Martinez and Azeez Ojulari. It's not one of the best in the league, but it is a very, very, very good defense, and any offense should be worried about going up against this defense. And then their offense, they also went out there, obviously got Saquon Barkley back from injury. I assume that he will be playing all season long. They signed Kenny Golladay and Kyle Rudolph, and now they have a pretty solid tight end duo, and they have a pretty good wide receiver unit with Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and now Kenny Golladay. So I think now Daniel Jones has all the weapons that he needs to succeed. The only question is, can he do anything with them? He hasn't had any success outside of Washington. I mean, he's been kicking butt in Washington, but that's about it. Anywhere else, he has had a terrible, horrible start to his career. Now, he could turn around. He could take a 3rd or 4th year. I don't even remember what year it is. I think this is his 3rd year. Yeah, he could take it a 3rd year late like Josh Allen did. Who knows? I don't think it's going to happen. But hey, with that really good defense and with that pretty good offense, even with him playing badly, when you've got Saquon Barkley and you've got a really solid receiver unit, even a quarterback with like Daniel Jones is going to be able to get some success. So I feel like they do have a shot at this NFC East, and let's go ahead and see what they can do. And in week 1, they start off with a home game, which is always nice, a home game against the Denver Broncos, who really don't have an offense at this point. Drew Lock is horrible. They got rid of Phillip Lindsay, who was probably the best part of their whole offense. Now they don't really have all that many weapons. Maybe Jerry Jeudy, but he didn't really have that much of an impressive rookie season. So I don't like their offense at all. It's probably one of the worst in the league. The only thing that's kind of saving them from being one of the worst teams in the league is that really good defense, and the fact that they added Kyle Fuller, they re-signed Justin Simmons, and I mean they're getting a couple players back on that defensive line. I was thinking of somebody, but I can't think of his name anymore. It's whatever. I'll probably think of it when I'm talking about the Eagles or something. Anyways, I'm going to have the Giants win this one. I don't know if that Denver Broncos offense can put up anything against this really good New York Giants defense. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a bit of a low-scoring game. 2 meh offenses. Well, 1 terrible offense and 1 okay offense going up against 2 really good defenses. Yeah, and I think the Giants get the win here. And in week 2, they have an away game, their first divisional game, and they won't have another one. Well, never mind. I'm thinking about Washington. Washington has all of theirs, basically, in the last 5 weeks. But in week 2, they have an away game against Washington, which probably has one of the best defenses in the entire league. They have a couple, iffy spots on the linebacker position, but everywhere else is really, really good. Probably a top 3 defense, in my opinion. I don't know if it's the best one. I think there's a couple defenses above it, but I think you can't put it any lower than 3rd, and I could even see it being put at 1st. However, that offense, that offensive line isn't insane, and also Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah, he's had a couple of good years, but you can't ignore the rest of his career where it has not been great. Now, I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I do hope he succeeds in Washington because I hope he succeeds in any team, but yeah, but they did go out, they did get Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphries, revamped that wide receiver unit, and Antonio Gibson is a pretty solid running back. So I think these 2 teams are very similar, good defenses, okay offenses. So I'm probably going to have them split. I'm going to give Washington the win here. I think Washington probably has a better defense than the Giants. The Giants probably have a better offense than Washington, especially in the running back position. You cannot ignore Saquon Barkley. He leads better than Antonio Gibson, even though Antonio Gibson is pretty good. So I'll have Washington win in week 2, and then the New York Giants will strike back in week 18, but we'll wait till we get there to get there. And then week 3 is a home game against the Atlanta Falcons, their first NFC South game of the season, and it's against probably the worst team in that division. The Falcons, I'm sorry, but Justin Fields was the right pick there. They should have gone for Justin Fields. I don't know how he fell that far. Justin Fields, I feel like, was the 2nd best quarterback in last year's draft, and the fact that he fell out of the top 10 is kind of insane to me. And I feel like he should have been drafted by the Falcons, and then it was like the Panthers, and even the Broncos. But however, Kyle Pitts is also a really, really, really stinking good rookie tight end, and you cannot ignore that. So I feel like this Atlanta offense did get bumped up a tiny bit before being completely dropped and plummeted by the Julio Jones trade. Yeah, the Giants are going to win this one. I don't even know why I had to talk about it for so long. There's really no question about this. Yeah, so the Giants, the win over Atlanta. And then in week 4, they have an away game against the New Orleans Saints, who do not sleep on the Saints. The Saints are a very, very good team, even without Drew Brees, even without Janoris Jenkins and their tight end. You have Jameis Winston, who had a year to sit behind Drew Brees. He had a year to be taught out of his bad decision making, which was the cause of a lot of his issues a couple years back. So I feel like he could be in for a career revival here, especially with Michael Thomas, especially with Alvin Kamara. I mean, they didn't lose that many big players on the offense, and they signed some more players for that defense. That defense is one of the best in the league. Not one of the best, but it's up there, probably top 10 around where the Giants are. And I like this New Orleans offense better than like this Giants offense. I'm sorry. I'm going to give New Orleans the win here. So now they fall to 2-2. They're .500. And then in week 5, they have another divisional game. It's an away one this time. Oh, just the same. Never mind. This one was away too. But it's against the Dallas Cowboys, who re-signed Dak, added some pieces to the secondary and that defense as a whole, but did not fix the biggest and most glaring issue on that whole team, which is that horrible, disgusting, one of the worst offensive lines in the league. They could not put up anything. They have no offensive line depth. The moment anybody got injured, it was all terrible. However, that defense, they did make it, from one of the worst in the league to, just kind of bad, which, is a bit of an increase. They still don't have a great defense, and they do have a pretty solid secondary now. So, they're okay. Their offense, obviously, with Amari Cooper, that passing game is going to be pretty good. Ezekiel Elliott, he has been on a massive decline these past couple of years, especially with the horrible offensive line. So, honestly, this team is it's pretty bad. Their offense is, I guess they got an okay passing attack. Their defense still is bad. They don't really have that much of a rushing attack anymore. I'm going to have the Giants probably get the sweep here. I'm going to have the Giants win here and probably in week 15 as well. So they bump up to 3-2 before a tough home game against the Los Angeles Rams, who have one of the best defenses in the league. And now with the additions of Deshaun Jackson and obviously Matthew Stafford, I forgot his name there for a second. I felt really stupid. That's a massive upgrade from Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford is probably a top 10 QB last year, and Jared Goff was struggling. So I'm going to have LA win this one, and this is probably the best team that the Giants have faced by a long shot this far into the season. I feel like the Rams are probably back up to where they were a couple years ago. Would not be surprised to see them in an NFC Championship game. Would be surprised to see them in Super Bowl, though. In Week 7, a home game against the Carolina Panthers. I feel like I see these teams battle every single year, but here we are again. It's another NFC South game. They've only got one more left after this one, and it's a tough one with the Buccaneers. Sorry. The Panthers, adding Sam Darnold is definitely an upgrade from Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think it's that much of an upgrade. I don't think it's going to completely revamp their whole offense, especially after losing Curtis Samuel. I do think their offense as a whole got worse, but their quarterback position did get a bit better. There was a 3-game stretch there last year where Teddy Bridgewater looked a lot better than I think Sam Darnold will this year. But as a whole, the other 13 games, I think Sam Darnold is better than that. And also that defense has a lot of young studs on there, which if they take the second, if even half of the young players that Carolina drafted last year take a second-year step this year, it's gone. And they also are they have a pretty solid secondary, so don't sleep on the Panthers, but I'm probably going to have the Giants win this one just because I think they're the better team overall. Now they're going up against probably the best team in the whole league in Week 8. And they're 4-3, and I'm sorry, but there's really no shot at the Giants to win this one. The Chiefs are just leagues better than they are. And in Week 9, they have a home game against the Las Vegas Raiders, who've been kind of falling apart this past bit, and I feel like the Giants will take advantage of that, get the win. Yeah. All right, so they enter their bye week just barely with a winning record at 5-4. They kind of have an iffy season. I think they're definitely still in the race for the division, but it's going to be tough. In Week 11, they have an away game against the reigning Super Bowl champions, and I'm sorry, but they're going to lose this one. I can't see them beating the Super Bowl champions who are oh so good. And then in Week 12, they have a home game against the Philadelphia Eagles, who completely gave up everybody. They traded away every good piece that they had, except for Zach Ertz, who, from what we're now seeing in the news, there we go, is wanting out of Philadelphia. So, yeah, I'm going to have the Giants win this one, and almost 100% they're going to get the sweep. All right, now they have an away game against the Miami Dolphins, and this is going to be a tough one for them to win because Miami has a pretty good offense, especially with the addition of Jalen Waddle. That's going to make their passing attack even better. And if Tua Tagovailoa can take that second-year step, then they're going to be a very elite team. However, the Giants have a really solid defense, and I mean, the Miami doesn't have that great of a defense, especially after the surprise releasing of Kyle Van Noy. Honestly, I feel like this will be a pretty close one, and I'm probably going to have to give it to the Giants here just because I like their offense over Miami's defense more than I like Miami's offense over the Giants' defense, which is how the games are played. And in Week 14, there was an away game against the Los Angeles Chargers, who got a new coaching staff and, I mean, are being slept on a lot because they have a really solid offense, and that defense, it isn't the greatest, but neither is the Giants' offense. So I feel like this will be a close one, but, again, Chargers going to win this one. If you wonder why I'm not talking all that much on a lot of these, it's because, you know, I predicted them months ago, so I don't really have that much to say. And like I already said, they're going to get the sweep against the Dallas, and they're going to get the sweep against Philadelphia. Now they've clinched a winning record. They're not going to win the division, though, I'm sorry to tell you. Wait, maybe they will. I don't know. But in Week 17, they have an away game against the Chicago Bears. And the Bears, they're the ones who ended up with Justin Fields, if you didn't know, which is who they shouldn't have. The Falcons should have him, or really the Jets should have him, but it's a whole other video. And, I mean, that does make their offense a whole lot better, especially, I mean, they tagged Allen Robinson, which was a great move. He's probably one of the better wide receivers in the league, and the fact that they got him is just great. And their defense is still pretty solid, especially, well, not especially, but it was weakened a bit with Kyle Fuller leaving. They released Kyle Fuller to sign Andy Dalton. I mean, come on. I definitely think this has been a good offseason probably for the Bears, or not a good offseason, but a good draft. The whole offseason before that was a mess. But I'm still going to have the Giants win this one. And like I said beforehand, I'm going to have them split with Washington. So they get the win in Week 18, which is probably really important because, look, at this point in the season, you've got an 11-5 Washington team who's at the top of the division. I'm assuming that Dallas and Philadelphia have been left far in the dust by this point. And a 10-6 Giants team going at it. This is probably for the division at this point. I mean, this is a pretty important game, and I'm going to have the Giants win this one. Now, if the Giants win back here, then it's kind of the opposite. It's Washington getting a nice win. But, yeah, I mean, Giants end up with the NFC East. Washington's still hanging on the playoffs, although the NFC West is a-coming. But, yeah, let's go ahead and do worst-case scenario and then best-case scenario. So, worst-case scenario, boop, boop. Yeah, they could split with Dallas. I could see that happening. I could definitely. That's possible. Come on. Come on. Good God, my computer just decides to be slow at the worst possible moment. There we go. And Carolina also could get this win. Like I just said, don't sleep on them. They could be pretty good. Even though I have them at 7-10. Don't at me. Come on. They have a pretty tough division. Come on. Let's move on. While that's switching over, let's move on. All right, so I don't think I can see them not sweeping Philadelphia. I'm sorry, I don't see a situation where that happens, but I could see them losing to Miami and getting swept by Washington. So that's as bad as it can get. Their absolute worst case scenario, and I say absolute because this is like really, really bad. This is not likely at all. This is like absolute worst case scenario, worst possible record. I don't see a situation like at all in the entire, like I just cannot see them going 6-9, or sorry, 6-11. 7-10? I mean, yeah, it's a stretch, but I mean, that's their worst case scenario. Absolute worst case scenario, 7-10. That's basically what it is. Same with best case scenario, which is what I'm about to do, because we like to end these videos off on a positive note, especially if your team's going 0-17. Not that the Giants are going better than that, though. All right, come on. There we go. And there was one more. One more. It was the Cowboys game, wasn't it? There it is. There we go. So 11-6. Now let's do absolute best case scenario. So best case scenario, I can't see them sweeping Washington. Best case scenario, they're 5-4. I'm going into the bye week. They could beat the Chargers. So yeah, that's best case scenario for you, right there. Or no, best case scenario, you know, whatever, screw it. Absolute best case scenario, they could win these two games. Whatever. All right. So they have a pretty solid range from 7-10 to 14-3, and again, neither of those are very likely. I feel like the most likely option is 11-6. However, anything could happen, and I feel like anything is from 7-10 to 14-3. And if they go 14-3, this is like Daniel Jones goes out there, he takes that third-year leap. They have an amazing offense to go along with that pretty good defense that ramps it up a bit. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what these are. Well, let's move these back to where they were. And there we go. Wait, nope. There we go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next one. If you're mad about me making the Giants only 11-6, or maybe you think 11-6 is too high, go watch my Dallas and Philadelphia videos, because I guarantee you seeing me trash on some rivals of yours will make you very happy. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys and how they end up being one of the worst teams in the league. Goodbye. See you in the next one. Goodbye. Bye.